Intentional living doesn't just stop with the budget. There are so many ways we can slow down, be more present, and live intentionally. In this video, I'm going to go over 5 ways that I'm taking time to live more intentionally. They're not perfect, but they're what I'm working on right now. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing that I'm going to go over that I'm doing to live more intentionally is actually something that's pretty new, and that is planning for failure. So in the last couple of months when I started this intentional living journey, I started planning our budget, planning our food, in some ways planning my time so I'm not finding myself being bored and trying to make either impulse purchases or go out to eat and things like that. And the first month or so, I really killed it. I did a great job. I made over 60 meals that month. I showed up for every meal, made them on the spot. I was really just planning ahead for grocery shopping. But in the last couple of weeks, I kind of have the tendency to be a very phase-like person. Where I'll get in these phases where I get really excited about work, or I'll get really excited about cleaning, I'll get really excited about cooking, and then that's what I fixate on. I guess I fixate on a lot of things. And so in this next phase where I kind of adapt to my personality, because I'm not going to get it right. I'm not just going to decide, oh, I'm going to cook every meal at home and I'm going to do that perfect for the rest of forever. I'm obviously cooking way more than I ever have, but I need to put systems in place for failure. So the next thing that I'm doing in my intentional life journey is planning for failure. Now, in my budget portion, we'll talk about the emergency fund and savings and all that, and planning for failure in terms of financially, cars breaking, doctor bills, things like that. But for food, I really want to get into meal prepping quality foods, and not just foods that it's like, oh, I don't have time to cook tonight, or actually I just threw my back out last night, I'm not feeling great. Just pick something out of the freezer, let's go pick something up, and then it throws off our whole budget. We're running to the grocery store because I didn't plan something simple, so my husband will go pick up something simple, or we'll throw in freezer food that's processed. So this next phase that I've already planned out most of April, so I'm going to try to add in a little bit extra. Hopefully it's in our budget where I can pick up some extra food and start prepping some of it. But otherwise, this is really going to kick in May, and I'm going to start, I want to have at least 10 of these in the freezer at all times. And I want to cycle through quality meals. So this one is salmon, broccoli, and gluten-free toast, and this is for my husband. So on the nights where I either throw out my back, or I'm getting really excited about one of my projects or work, or the baby's having a rough night and I just don't have it in me to stand in the kitchen for an hour and get something made, we still have quality meals that are available to us. It's not my intent to make this a serious habit where it's like, oh, I'm just not going to cook tonight, just grab one of the freezer foods. This is really just intended for those nights where I genuinely got caught up on something, or I'm not feeling great and I just can't get in the kitchen, because this is going to prevent us from going out and picking up food or reaching for processed foods that we don't particularly want to eat. So I went ahead and hopped on Amazon. I try to stay away from plastic, and one of the things that's really important to me in this meal prep process and having these in the freezer is, when I was meal prepping in the past, one of the things that led to failure of just keeping up with meal planning and meal prepping is I was cooking things to be put in the microwave. Now there are some things like pastas that I generally don't mind being reheated in the microwave, but most of my foods, I don't like it cooked in the microwave. If I'm gonna have fresh vegetables, I don't want microwave vegetables. I already have a hard time eating those things, and microwaving them after they've already been cooked is not going to help me want to eat my vegetables. That's just the truth. I know I'm 37 years old, I'm an adult, but that's the cold hard truth. And so one of the things that's really important to me is picking a container that I can throw in the oven. So now this salmon has been pre-seasoned with the broccoli. It's been tossed in olive oil with a little bit of minced garlic, salt, and pepper, and tossed. And now this can go right into the oven and cook as if I was cooking it that day. Normally I pan sear. Technically I could take the time to pan sear this if I was feeling up to it, if my husband wanted to do it, but otherwise we can take this out, throw it on a sheet pan, and it's going to be ready to go for us. So I'm going to try to start this month, but May is really going to be the big focus, where I'm going to meal prep some freezer meals, and I would like to have 5 apiece, so 10 total, sitting in the freezer ready for the days that where we would be most susceptible to making old habit choices. Okay, so this next part looks a little chaotic, but one of the things I'm doing is preserving memories. So we can live intentionally, but part of that is not rushing through life and taking the time to cherish memories that we've had with our friends and family, remember where we came from. And I just generally like family history. I would love to make a family tree. So one of the things that I did, it was go to my grandmother's house, and she has this giant basket where she was just keeping all of these photos and newspaper clippings from my uncle's time playing baseball growing up. And you know, my grandfather has some health issues, so it's been a while, you know, since he's been around, and remembering him and what he was like. So seeing the photos and seeing the history has been really special, and seeing what my mom and her siblings look like when they were growing up. And now that I have a son, I can see some of the similarities to how I looked and my brother looked, and how, you know, just different family members, you can see different traits of him kind of pulling through, and kind of like all of us in a way. So that's been really special, and I think it's a really special gift for me to spend the time. And I'm actually going to digitize all of these photos and share it with the whole family. And I think it's one of the most special gifts that I could give to everybody in the family, is to have these memories accessible, and they're not just hidden away in a box, and their kids can see where they came from. And you know, my aunt's children can see it, and these, you know, these are my cousins, and my cousins have children, and they'll be able to see these photos and really have access to all that. So I think that's a really special way I can contribute and give to my family. And my mom saw that I was doing this, and she's clearing out her storage unit and brought me her boxes of stuff. So I got my grandmother's organized right now, for the sake of not having thousands of photos at the risk of being knocked over and mixed together. I'm just going to start here. I'm going to find a way to get these digitized. I really don't want to pay hundreds of dollars for a service, and the printer I would like to have for this is over $500. So I'm going to try to come up with a clever way to get this done. I'm hoping there's some kind of AI tool I can use for cropping and things like that. But yeah, I think, you know, memories and family history and taking the time to give this back to my family is really special and meaningful, and an important thing I can be contributing in my family circle. So I'm really proud of this project, and this is one of the things that I'm doing to live more intentionally. Let's get on to the next one. So the next thing I'm doing is spending time with more friends. I am currently on my way to meet my friend for lunch. Now, she doesn't know I do YouTube, and I'm not going to ask her to go on camera and film her. This is actually the first time we're hanging out, because this is a work friend. I'm the first year into my job, and this is work from home. So this is another girl who works from home, and she has kids. One of them is, I think, only 6 months older than my son. So I thought it would be good to connect with her and get to know some of the other moms that are working for the company, and for me to get out and socialize and connect with people. So I know, especially, I wasn't really big into being social before, but I had a social job working in sales, and now that I work from home, I have to schedule it and make time for it and be willing to want to connect with people outside of my immediate circle. I have about 2 friends that I connect with all the time, but you know, reaching out to new people and interacting, you know, unless I go, I don't know, to a concert or bump into somebody at Disneyland, there's not really a lot of opportunity for me to meet new people like I would at a traditional job. So this is me kind of getting out there. So we're gonna go to lunch, and then afterwards there's actually a resale baby store. I have one that I go to right next to my house, but she lives on the complete opposite side of town. So I asked her if she would be down to go to the one over next to her after we went to lunch, so I could take that opportunity to look at the list of stuff that we want for my son and see if there's any good deals. So I'm kind of doubling down, taking this opportunity to go to that store that I don't really get to go to, hopefully pick up some stuff that we actually have planned to need for my son and get a good deal on it, and also spend quality time with her. Next on the list is we have started doing family workouts. So I'm out here in the garage. We actually have a really nice garage. We have a window out here and it's fully finished. You can actually see on this side I started painting it, and we're turning that area into a whole organization system, and that's going to be a desk for my husband. And then we have this big open space that he's eventually going to host D&D nights, and then we carpeted the floor so it's actually nice out here. And we are also going to install a mini split up there. We just need to get one more thing to make the connection. But this is a really nice flex area for us because we're able to use it for a lot of different things. Obviously, the main thing is going to be my husband's man cave. But my husband was in a car accident in December, so he's got a lot of work to do to build up strength in his back and core. And to kind of hold each other accountable just in general, we decided we're going to do family workouts. So I'm mostly doing bike, abs, and stretching. And then he uses the yoga mat to do his physical therapy exercises. And my son loves to run around in his walker. And this is kind of like the largest, most open space. And the camera doesn't look like that much, but it's like over 20 by 20 in terms of the walls in here, so a few hundred square feet for sure. And yeah, so this is one way where we're spending time together, we're staying active, we're taking care of our health. So it's been a really good solution for us. It's also really budget conscious because we were spending money on the gym, but we really just weren't taking that serious enough to get our butts down there and make use of the money being spent there. I've had this bike now since COVID, so that's 5 years, and I got that for I think like $150. My husband's just using a yoga mat for his physical therapy exercises. I'm sure in the future we'll probably get him weights and things like that as his strength gets back up. But right now he's really just working on mobility, flexibility, and some core strength stuff that's mostly just body weight. And then maybe some more things for my son to play with in the future. But this has been a really good way for us to spend time together and focus on our health and be more intentional about everything that we're doing. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to go over with you guys is the gardening portion. So let me go ahead and flip the camera around so I can kind of explain to you what we're doing out here. So this here is just our side yard. So we have a lot of extra space. We got a new construction home, so we were able to pick our lot. And over here we're going to be growing pumpkins and watermelon, and then on this side here we're going to have raised planter beds. We were going to do it all the way across, but because we have this retaining wall, we have to leave these drainage holes available, so we are just going to make planter beds in between each one. And those are going to be about 3 bricks tall, so you can get an idea. We're both over 6 foot, so the taller the better. And then we were going to make these ones taller, but then we just decided that was a lot of brick and soil, and even though it's more convenient for us to have things up taller, and because they were pumpkins and watermelon, we just decided we're going to do 1 brick, and then I'm going to put like decorative stone on the outside, and then I'll have like a stone topper, so it'll end up looking really nice. And then we're going to do turf. We live in the desert, so we can't really do a lot of grass out here. We're going to do turf down the middle, and I'm hoping at some point I can do arches, and then you can like walk down the middle of it. But this is just a hobby that we're getting into. My husband wants to grow some herbs, and then the pumpkin and watermelon will be something we can consume. And just the overall idea of gardening is good for your health as a hobby, and then obviously you get to benefit from the fresh fruits and vegetables. This is just going to be one section. I'm sure my husband has plans over in the main backyard as well, but this is just another thing that we're doing to be more intentional with the things that we do, the things that we consume, and the way we spend our time. Okay, so right now that is everything I'm doing to live a more intentional life. I am going through my memories, I'm spending time with my friends, working on gardening, having fresh fruits and vegetables, planning for success, but also planning for failure. That way we don't make any moves backwards. We're still able to make good decisions by prepping our food, in the budget as well. But I know we focus on food today. And then, spending time on our health and together as a family. So I hope you guys got something out of those 5 things that I'm doing to live a more intentional life. There are obviously many, many other things that I'm doing. Life is so multifaceted. There's so many things going on, so many different hobbies and goals and plans and things like that. So I'm sure there's going to be another video in the future that talk about additional things I'm doing to live a more intentional life. If you guys are interested in following me on this journey, I would love for you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And then I would also love to hear from you guys on what you guys are doing to live a more intentional life. Are you meal prepping? Are you spending time with family? What kind of activities? Do you put it on your calendar? How are you guys making it all happen over in your life? So I would love to hear from you. Put in the comments below. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.